Hey guys, STLYoungblood back with you, playing some more Arena Commander, and today what we're going to talk about is some of the different flight modes and kind of my impressions of them so far. Now, before we get into it, it's important to note that some of these are going to be better or maybe just a little bit easier, kind of depending on which peripheral that you're actually using. For example, I think there's some inherent smoothness that goes along with playing with a HOTAS like I've got, or a joystick setup or whatever. That being said, there's some things that are not currently able to be rebound at this point to your stick or throttle. Specifically things like changing your flight mode or decoupling, etc. Those are things that are still on the keyboard. So I guess before we even get into that, it's worth talking about what these are and what these other modes actually involve. So the first mode to talk about is coupled or decoupled flight. Now the best way to think about this is coupled mode behaves similar to atmospheric flight, or basically any non-space sim that you've played. Basically, your nose is always leading the way and the rest of the ship is following behind, just like normal flight. Now when you toggle coupled mode off, or you turn decoupled on, basically you're going to have the ability to change your orientation without changing the direction your craft is actually traveling in. So the best way to probably describe this is, hopefully most of you have seen Battlestar Galactica, and when you see the Vipers, they're kind of heading in one way, rotate a quick 180 degrees while still traveling, basically flying backwards to shoot at the ships that are flying behind them. It's basically the same deal. You can also kind of strafe from side to side, and it's really effective in decoupled mode. Now, there's two other options that you can choose to either enable or disable, and the first of which is G-Safe. G-Safe is a mode that's going to make automatic corrections to your flight when you would be blacking or redding out. Basically, it's like a governor on a car, and it prevents you from making turns, flips, rolls, whatever, a little too fast that would end up resulting in you blacking out, or at least losing some visibility as a result. It's protecting you from the G-forces. Now, the other mode that's available to have either on or off is COMSTAB, or Command Level Stability. Now, COMSTAB also makes some slight adjustments to your flight by preventing the sliding of your craft when you're kind of making sharp turns or movements. With this disabled, you get a bit more glide than you do with it enabled. So, those are the three options that you have the ability to play with that's in your arsenal, and frankly, they probably all have their place, either on or off. A lot of this is going to be personal preference. Now, in order to toggle these on or off, they're all really going to be bound to the caps lock in some form or fashion. So, all of these default to engaged or on. So, if you want to use them, you're actually going to need to toggle them off. Now, coupled or decoupled mode is changed by just pressing the caps lock once. That turns it off, hit caps lock again to turn it back on. If you want to toggle the G-Safe, you have to hit Control plus the caps lock once. If you want to turn off just the COMSTAB, you'll have to hit Control plus caps lock again. And if you want both G-Safe and COMSTAB off, you hit Control and caps lock one more time. And on the right side of your HUD, you're going to notice that it's going to reflect your selection. It's going to be either on or off, and you'll see them either lit up or grayed out with an X through them. So let's go back to coupled versus decoupled mode. And this one in particular is the one that I personally feel is dependent on which peripheral you're using. Now, again, I'm using a HOTAS setup, and with that, I personally find it challenging to take my hands off the throttle, find the caps lock key, then switch up how I'm actually flying. And then to make matters a little bit more difficult, after I'm done with that type of flight, I then need to hit caps lock again and get back to the throttle and stick. Now, I know that hardly sounds like a big deal, but when you're trying to make things happen really quickly, at least for me, it hasn't been real effective. So what I would really like to see, and I know it's alpha, I know, trust me, I'm telling you guys it's alpha. At some point, I would like to see more options that give us the availability to kind of remap some of the unused buttons on the throttle or the stick to kind of give us the strafe and thruster controls, as well as quickly activating and deactivating, coupled mode. I think that's when I'll start seeing this be more effective for myself, and when I'll start using it quite a bit more. And I'm sure some people are out there that have mastered using it with the HOTAS. You know, some people are just intuitively really good with this stuff. But for me right now, it's a little bit clunky at best. Now, mouse and keyboard guys should probably really want to practice with this, because you're set up a little bit better for it right now and could probably make really good use of it. So, my personal recommendation at this point would be surrounding the joystick and the HOTAS crowd. So for us, I personally haven't been going into decoupled mode very frequently, but I find running with G-Safe and COMSTAB on does make you a little bit more sluggish. So to kind of make up for some of that inability to do those quick turns like we talked about, I've begun to really run with both COMSTAB and G-Safe disengaged, and I find that I'm a much more capable dogfighter because of that. Now, while it's not quite as effective as turning on a dime to get somebody behind you, or maybe someone that just passed you head on, it's still pretty solid to kill your throttle, pull a quick turn, and you're facing your target again. Now, it's, again, worth noting, be aware that the G's that you're putting on your body, you know, keep an eye on the color of your screen as it kind of dims a little bit, just to make sure that you're not overdoing it. Now, in those quick just turnaround situations, I haven't really noticed it become an issue, but it's something just to be aware of. You also need to really kind of keep an eye out for asteroids and facilities, because with COMSTAB off, you can drift into crap, and sharp turns that you do drift into stuff rarely end well for you. So, it's still a better option in my mind because you're more nimble and quicker to react and to follow your target, but it does come with a little bit of risk. So, overall, I'm starting to feel more capable at the helm. The maneuvers are starting to feel more natural. I'm starting to feel like I'm aiming a little bit better. I'm getting kills faster. And as I start to master more of this stuff, I'm going to be making some more guides. I also plan to put some time in on the decoupled mode just to see if I can figure it out, and if I can figure out something that works for me, I'll be sure to share that with you guys too. Just a quick heads up, I did want to let you know that I'm going to be unable to play this weekend or make any content, but I do have some stuff planned for early next week. So stay tuned for a lot more content coming soon. I appreciate you guys watching, and take care.